Hello everybody, I'm going to read a story and I want you to see if you can work out who I am. Today I'm going to read the story of Little Red. On the front cover of the story it says, "A howling good fairy tale with a twist." In a time not too long ago, and in a land much like our own, there lived a young boy. His name was Thomas, but for some reason everyone called him Little Red. Little Red's parents owned a cosy inn, and people came from far and wide for a glass of their famous sweet ginger beer. Little Red loved to meet the travellers and hear their tales of dangerous encounters with dashing highwaymen and fearsome wolves. One day, Little Red was getting ready to visit his grandma, as he did every week, with a basketful of delicious treats and a week's supply of ginger beer. "Grandma's favourite," declared Little Red, as he put the keg of ginger beer into his basket. Little Red put on his much-loved red coat, picked up his basket and set off for Grandma's. As always, his mother warned him, "Don't you wander off the path, not for any reason." For everyone knew there was a ferocious and hungry wolf that prowled within the forest, and straying away from the path would almost certainly mean being eaten. Little Red skipped along the path, unaware that the wolf was secretly watching him. "He would make a tasty snack," the wolf said to himself, drooling at the thought. Suddenly, Little Red stopped and called out excitedly, "Red apples! I'll have to take some to Grandma." Overhearing this, the wolf thought, "So, Grandma is waiting for him, is she? Perhaps I can have myself 2 tasty snacks instead of just 1. Meanwhile, Little Red was trying to reach the apples. There was a large prickly bush in his way, so to keep his coat from being torn, he took it off and placed it on a nearby rock. This gave the wolf an idea. Grabbing his coat, he charged off at a terrific pace towards Grandma's house. Reaching Grandma's front door, the wolf stopped to squeeze himself into Little Red's coat. Then he knocked on the door. Grandma, who was very short-sighted, opened the door, saw the red jacket and said, "Come right in, Little Red. Why don't we have some ginger beer and a big slice of cake?" But as soon as her back was turned, the wolf pounced on her, and in 1 second flat he had swallowed her whole. "Now I'll disguise myself as Grandma and eat the boy for dessert," the wolf howled, marvelling at his brilliant plan. He stepped into one of Grandma's dresses and fixed one of her wigs behind his long furry ears. He closed the drapes tight, sat at Grandma's table and waited eagerly for Little Red. Little Red arrived at Grandma's house, out of breath from running. "Grandma," he cried, "my coat has been stolen. I only left it on the path for a second and it disappeared." When Grandma didn't rush out to greet him, Little Red began to worry. "Are you in there?" he asked, stepping into the darkened room. "Grandma," he said, "you look different. Are you feeling unwell?" "I'm fine, dear," said the wolf sweetly. "Come closer." "Grandma, what big eyes you've got today," said Little Red, sitting down at the table. "All the better to see you with, my dear," crooned the wolf. "But what big ears you have, Grandma," said Little Red. "All the better to hear you with, my sweet," replied the wolf with a big toothy grin. "And Grandma, what enormous teeth you have," Little Red exclaimed. "All the better to eat you with," roared the wolf. "What?" cried Little Red. "Don't eat me." "You're my dessert," growled the wolf. Grandma was really delicious, but not quite enough to fill me up. You'll finish my meal off nicely." Terrified, Little Red looked around frantically for a way out. Then he remembered his basket, and he had a brilliant idea. "Wait! I have something much tastier than me," shouted Little Red, and he grabbed the keg of ginger beer from his basket. "Tastier than you?" thundered the wolf. Snatching the bottle from Little Red's hand, the wolf guzzled down the whole lot, enough for an entire week, in one greedy gulp. Almost immediately, the wolf's belly began to rumble and grumble loudly. "Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear," the wolf howled. Then suddenly he let out an enormous burp, and out flew Grandma from his mouth. Belch! As the wolf tottered backwards groaning, Little Red grabbed the keg of ginger beer and threw it at the wolf's head, knocking him out cold. Then he quickly tied a pair of Grandma's thick woolly stockings tightly around the wolf's paws. The wolf awoke with a nasty bump on his head. "My poor, poor head," he moaned. "Eating Grandma's is becoming too dangerous, and that ginger beer was far tastier than Grandma anyway." That gave Little Red an idea. "If you promise to never, ever eat anyone again," he said, "I'll let you go and make sure you could have all the ginger beer you could ever want." The wolf readily agreed. So from then on, each week, on his way to Grandma's, Little Red left a keg of ginger beer in the forest for the wolf, who drank it down eagerly, in spite of its embarrassing after effects. The end.